Howdy, lieutenants and economists.
The most volatile, evil, disgusting things on the planet, humans. If you have a video request, you can always go to assholeconsulting.com.
Yeah, I am gonna charge you, kids. And that is the importance of not fucking up.
You are such an asshole!
Hey all, we got a video response to a video request I did. It's kind of interesting. I'm kind of surprised. It's in regards to a video I did called Why Women Don't Need You. I think it is actually an excerpt from a podcast. And I did not know that it would create this much controversy. But I'll go ahead and read through it and we can delve into it. Hey Cappy, all right, you've got an answer for the Why Women Don't Need You video you put out. Oh, I'll pay for it. I love objectivism and am a capitalist, but we need an answer. Your commentary was so provocatively divisive that friendships were strained, some were forced to end, and that's just the people I know. I'm like, okay, let's stop here. I'm already suspicious of people who are going to critique you if you send them a video that you're just, what's your thoughts on this? Not like I believe it, just here's a video, what are your thoughts? And they strain the relationship and then they end the relationship. So already I'm wondering how fragile are the fifis? How fragile are the fifis? How fragile are the fifis? Fragile fifis. And would you want to be hanging out with these people anyway? Because that was kind of an immediate red flag. I'm like, whoa. So that's already a concern for me. Not that I'm even arguing with these people because I've gone through it. I had to re-listen to the video. And there's some points they're making, but if we're going to do it a Cappy versus the critics, it's like kind of point for me if you're destroying friendships over a video somebody merely wanted your opinion on. So that's, and then hit me up at assholeconsulting.com. I'll tell you how to get good friends. You said that there may be a follow-up about a week later when you recovered your voice, but there hasn't been any commentary from anything recent from this. But it's cool. Yeah, I lost my voice and I've been busy. First off, I sent this to a friend of mine, an Indian American, US born, basically US culture. He said he could only get 10 minutes in before he got so ready. He got 10 minutes in on a 15-minute video? So he didn't listen to the whole thing? But he's already, look, I understand you want to read the headlines, but he cannot critique something. Well, you can critique that 10 minutes, but you can't critique the whole point, because sometimes it's like, here's the shocking observation or real world phenomenon happening and the take. Now here's the reasons and arguments why, but if you're not going to listen to the so again, point clearly, you're not going to listen to the whole thing. I understand people are very busy. I understand you don't want to waste your time listening to stuff. I do it too. It's like, what's the headlines? Read through a little bit. All right. But just another point there. Just pointing that out. Before he got so resentful and angry and had to shut it off, he said that guys who take care of themselves, etc., aren't going to have a problem. We're both from DC, and he says, and what I've seen guys here get laid, no problem. Countering to, even if you're an 8, the girls just aren't going to be interested in you. He stayed in New York City for a year and said, you see mediocre dudes walking around with a cute girl on their arms all day long. You said your video was way negative. I argue that's the real world. The real world isn't negative in this particular moment in time. And I tend to think that you guys who have an actual shot should be told they have so, rather than be told to fuck off by guys who are supposed to be on their side. All right, let's start, because then you bring in another guy, so let's talk about this guy and his points. I don't disagree with him about DC or New York City. Because New York City has a lot more women than men. I do also believe DC has more women than men. But it's also anecdotal. His experiences, when I was in Chicago in the 90s, holy shit. It was heaven. It was wonderful. You could talk to John Steele about being in New York in the 90s. You could talk to, who else was in Chicago? Bernard Chapin was in Chicago in the 90s. Women in Chicago in the 90s were great, but things change. People move, generations age, new generations come online. And what once was no longer stays the same. I'd also argue that it's Chicago and New York and DC, and it's no longer Chicago now. But the demographics have changed it. Yes, there are some places where the sex ratio is lopsided enough that men could do very well. I'd be very curious if London, or maybe more Paris, I don't know where women flock to nowadays. Just as you could say Williston, North Dakota, all of a sudden had a flood of men come in, and the value of a North Dakota 5 became an LA 10, or a North Dakota 10 is an LA 5. So the demographics can change, and they can be localized, where I don't doubt his observations, because I've heard it corroborated between guys like Roosh. I've seen that New York article that there's a shortage of men in New York commonly. So that's fine, not disagreeing, but he's got 2 data points. I'm pulling from research that I quoted. There were 2 of them in specific where either it was OkCupid or Match. Don't quote me on that one, but there were 2 specific, even 3, where, because one was done at a college, where the dating site, whichever one it was, where women were to rank men on a scale, like who's attractive on a scale 1 to 10, and they rated 80% of the men below a 5. Okay, now I'm going to pit that data, which goes nationwide, probably even global wide, against your buddy's 2 truthful yet anecdotal observations, because mine's more thorough. And I could also throw in my personal anecdotal stories where it's like, no, I know 8s who get rejected. This guy who I was talking about in the video, he was an 8. He got rejected. Guy makes 6 figures, good looking, in his power 30s. I mean, it could not be more still. He's just he's in Chicago, wrong part of town, wrong part of the country. If he went to New York, he'd probably do a lot better. If he went to DC, he'd probably do a lot better. So I'm not, again, disagreeing with him, but I'm just saying my dad is better. There's also the one study where they lined up 100 boys and 100 girls. It was in college. All right, and what was it? Who would you go out with, or who would you sleep with? And 80%, the Pareto ratio applied. 80% of the women would only go out with 20% of the guys. Again, that data is a little bit more thorough, a little bit more scientific. And then finally, what I have to face, and this is why I admit that I don't know. I don't go out dating anymore. I haven't been in the field in a long ass time. That's why I rely on younger men. That's why I rely on the guys that are in the field and say, like, okay, what are your experiences? And it's not coming back good. Now, admittedly, you could say it's selection bias, that the people that tune into my show are downer, depressor, woe is me type of guys. That's true, but again, I see these guys, I found out who they are, I look at them, I'm like, what the fuck, and there's some success stories. I admit there was this one guy, man, he hit it out of the park, this good-looking dude, who was an accounting major, and his girlfriend was an accounting major, and she was nice and sweet and kind, and he sent a picture, and they're all nice, and I'm like, you lucky sly dog. I mean, there's wins, but again, I will pit my much more numerical, higher number of experiences in my reports from my agents in the field, which admittedly is not scientific, but I have more data points through asshole consulting and reader letters and all that kind of stuff than this guy's trip to DC, or trip to New York and living in DC. That's fine. I'm sure he saw a lot of dudes walk. That's fine. Great observation, not denying it. I'll take my, how long was it? Asshole Consulting has been around 5+ years now. Thousands of reviews. And then also, speaking as what was once an 8, if you believe, remember hotornot.com where you throw up your picture? Old Captain got rated an 8.6. Because you didn't see the height. So I adjust down to an 8. Some would say you should adjust down to a 6, whatever. The old Captain was a good player in his day, right? But and this was 20 years ago. This was in the 90s. I am not going to forget my experience, which is probably, I'm not saying it is, but if I had to put money on it, I approached way more girls than your buddy. Admittedly, in an environment called Minnesota, and it was pretty bad. Pretty bad. Chicago was great. I was just like, wow, Chicago was like, do you want to go out? Yes. And then they'd show up. I can't deny my experiences. Even at the top of my game, ballroom dancing, all this, had money, banker, suit. I mean, banker by day, ballroom dancer by night. I was younger and had an okay car, and it was still a royal pain in the ass. I'm not going to forget the rule of 50-50-25. 50% no times 25 or 50% show equals 25% go. 70% of the girls would say yes, 70% of the girls would flake. Right? It was a royal pain in the ass dating. Rejection was the norm. Going on a date was not the standard. And even the best players will say their close rate at the top of their game was around 30%. All right? And all you guys see is the finished product. You see this guy walking around. You don't see, for that one gal, that's a drop-dead knockout. It would be great walking into a dance club and there's good-looking drink on my arm, and people are like, how the fuck did he get that girl? What the fuck has he got that? The only thing I had is that I asked out 10 times as many girls. That's the only thing. So I will never deny. People wonder, how do you get the percentage of marriageable women is less than 1%? Because I dated over 300, and there were only 3 girls out of 300 that were arguably marriage material. Deal breakers with every one of them, but arguably marriage material. And so I'm sorry, my own personal experiences, I'm going to believe in those because, not because it's me or it's personal, but because there's just so many damn data points. So I don't think neither him nor I are wrong, but if he can't get beyond 10 minutes into this video, one, I'm going to wonder how intellectually honest he is. But two, I'm sorry, I just happen to have better data, and I'm quoting actual scientific studies, not my mere anecdotal history of experience. I'm going to believe those two things over your guys' individual personal experiences, in 2 cities. Which is, and as long as he lives in those 2 cities, he's right. He's 100% right. Just as long as you stay in Casper, Wyoming, or Williston, North Dakota, you could be a fat, ugly sow and get yourself a really good-looking young man who makes 6 figures. I saw it. Just as he is equally shocked to see mediocre dudes walking with 8s, 9s, and 10s in New York City, I will show you just as jaw-dropping anecdotes of really, 3s and 4s, these gals walking with 8s and 9 guys. Like, you could tell they were working on the rigs, and they were miners, and they had the muscles, and they were good looking, and they had a really nice trucks. Trucks are bigger than cars out in Wyoming. You don't impress people with cars, you impress them with trucks. And you'd see it all the time. But not once did I say, oh yeah, 8s and 9s of guys are going to have to settle for 3s and 4s with single moms. Although I would argue it's increasingly looking that way on a national level. I see standing does get any mediocre dudes walking around town. And you know what? I won't doubt it for a second. Some guys got better game. You'll see that skinny, scrappy, formerly Irish fuck, ballroom dancer, motorcycle riding economist walk into a dance club with a really tall, good-looking girl. They're like, dude, how the fuck? Chances are those guys were running a really good game, and they were trying harder, and they were getting their asses shot down. One of the biggest problems I got over at Asshole Consulting is when guys came up to me and started asking me, how do I get the girls? And it got so annoying because what it boiled down to is they were cowards and weaklings and lazy fucks. They did not want... Cowardice in the fact they didn't want to approach the women. Lazy because they didn't want to go to the gym. Lazy because they didn't want to go out, which, though, as you get older, I can understand. Because it wasn't like, there was some kind of magical formula to unlock. It was, how many girls did you ask? First question, how many girls did you ask out this week? Dude, there'd be times I'd ask out 20, 25 girls in a week. When you're young, you're like, girls. The Beastie Boys wrote a song about it. Nothing. Gen X humor. You kids won't understand. Anyway, so I'd be very curious if you were to pull that guy over. Say, dude, how did you get such a hot chick? I guarantee you he wasn't just sitting there in the coffee shop and she walked up to him and said, hey, how you doing? He probably did 10 times the work the average schlub sitting in Brooklyn sipping his espresso, wiping it out of his curly beard, wondering if he could get more salmon-colored pants ever did. Negative, blah, blah, blah. He said your video was negative. I tend to think that guys who have an actual shot should be told they have so. Well, here's the thing. The guy took the shot. This whole video was because the guy took the shot. He is taking shots. I don't get complaints for guys, well, okay, I get them like, how do I get the girls? And they never take shots. Those are your lazy, virgin towel, engineers doing nothing else types. But for every one of those, I have another one, maybe a couple more, where these guys are just, they've been to the battlefield. They pulled the trigger on the rifle. They asked the girls out. They're getting shot down. They're not getting shot down because they didn't ask in the first place. These guys are getting shot down. And they come to me like, what's wrong? And I say, okay, send me some pics. Give me a profile. What are we looking at? I'm like, dude, then maybe it's your approach or something else. But these guys are getting shot down. They are asking the girls out. I've never said don't ask a girl out. If anything, I say don't invest so much time, effort. Don't go to nightclubs. Quit wasting your time on Tinder and dating sites. If you see a cute girl, yeah, ask her out. But if there's any advice I give, it's don't get emotionally invested in it. Don't get worked up about it. Don't get the fear, approach anxiety. Get callous. Get used to getting shot down because that is the industry standard. Whether you're a ugly one reject or you're even like, well, 10s. I bet you the Thunder from Down Under, they could probably get any girl they wanted. But speaking to the 7, 8s, even maybe some 9s in there, the standard I would argue is getting shot down. That is industry standard. It's like baseball. Okay, you're doing real well if you're batting 300. You're doing really well. But you're still going to strike out, pop out, fly out the majority of time. But I've never once, I don't think these guys have, because they come back and they say, dude, I keep getting rejected. I've never said, don't go and ask girls out. I say, don't put them as the number one thing in your life. Go and focus on yourself as a means to go ahead and get girls. But I'm like, yeah, don't go to a nightclub. Don't do that. So these guys are asking them out. And then there's like, I then sent your video to a Lake Minnetonka player who was knocking 50. He called me back and said, I heard 4 minutes of it and was up 4 minutes again. Fuck this guy. I've heard of this Aaron Clary guy before too. I have a buddy out in Lake Minnetonka. He's got a boat. Good to have a friend with a boat. And we've bummed around that area. It's different to see. And he says you can't get laid in Lake Minnetonka. He says, before that guy doing it, and he says you can't get laid in Lake Minnetonka. I go out and shoot the shit with girls and take a new one home at least once a week. I highly doubt it. He could. Again, I'd like to see the proof. If you're taking a girl home once a week and you do it for 3 years, that's 150 girls. All right. I'm curious what Roosh's count is. And that guy did a decade of dedication to just chase and tail. So I'm really suspicious of claims like that. He could be doing very well with women. I'm not one a week. It's a party scene. If you got game, you could pull it. This guy's approaching. Again, getting back to my thing, he's approaching. He probably has built up the resilience of getting shot down 7 to 8 times for every 1 or 2 successes. And he's willing to put in the effort. I didn't spend a lot of time in the Wayzata area during my dating days. I can't. It's if you're on the lake, it's one thing. Then there's the suburbs surrounding the lake. It's a different thing. And it's a party scene, dude. It's total party scene. Summer, you go out there, it's crazy actually. And yes, you can get laid. The question is whether it's going to be worth your time. But I think this guy is used to getting shot down. I think he's willing to put in the hard work. He could be an anomaly unto himself. He could just be really good. He's got what's it, So what works for him may not work for somebody else. So again, I'm not doubting his guy. I doubt this once a week. Yeah, once a week, dude. After a while, you'd want to wait to yourself, like, lady, get out of here. And then how much time are you putting in? Oh. Get laid one different girl once a week. That is going to be a pain in the ass. I put a super chat to your older brother podcast with guests sitting in, and someone asserted, saying a sentiment is negative doesn't mean it's wrong. It's a passive-aggressive way to go about doing it. Yeah, I don't think it's purposely passive-aggressive. It's weak. It's millennial. Dude, that's so negative. I'm like, yeah, because everything should be rainbow farts and puppies and unicorns, right? I was accused of only looking at a pussy-getting slice of the pie of the U.S. What? I put in a super chat to your older brother podcast with guests sitting in, and someone asserted saying a sentiment is negative doesn't mean it's wrong. That's a passive-aggressive way to go about it. I was accused of only looking at a pussy-getting slice of the pie of the U.S. That could be true. That these guys, I mean, how much, again, me back in the olden days, your buddy over on Lake Minnetonka, and maybe not so much your East Indian buddy, Roosh, any player, how much time and effort did we put in to get, how many rejections did we get? You know, how many sales calls did we make? I bet you it was a lot more representing this pussy getting slice of the U.S. pie than your average guy, let alone, here's a shock, you know, I understand it's hypocritical when they come up to me, how do I get the girls? I'm like, well, how many sales calls did you make? None. Well, fuck you. All right? But some guys are like, maybe they got jobs. Maybe they got careers. Maybe they have an opportunity cost. Like, if I got to go to the nightclub, that is a 3-hour sacrifice of my time that I could be doing something else. If I got to spend X number of dollars for this dating site or this thing or going to that club or the parking and the fees and the stuff or the meetups or whatever, however you're going out there, the hunting costs, both in terms of time and money, all right, you got to give something else. Perfect. It was near Lake Minnetonka. It was. I won't even mention the specific town. I remember this. There was a guy, and he walked in with a gal that was obviously an escort. Obviously a prostitute. Because he was much older, was not as good looking as this gal, and this gal was like a 9.5. And the GF leans over to me. Look at that! Oh my God! What? How did he get? I'm like, it's an escort. You think so? I'm like, yeah, think so. And we get out, and sure enough, he walked into one of these high-end, we had to look it up, high-end, I won't mention what type of vehicle, but it was a $250,000 vehicle. Let's say car, sedan, SUV, it was an egregiously expensive. And I'm looking at the guy, and I'm looking at the car, and I'm looking at the girl, and I realized he probably paid cash for that car. You say, Cappy, don't most of the people, like most do. And this is why I say he paid cash. Because I estimated him to be a surgeon. Or some guy, some high-end, high-income earning guy, where 1 hour of his time was $2,000. Something like it. It could have been a high-end lawyer, whatever. And this guy does not have the time to sit down there going to chicka bar, or go down to, what was the one, Lord Fletcher's, with, hey! I mean, he does not have the time. Because he spends 2 hours trying to chat up some girl. Then he's got to spend, then you got to take her on a date. And then you get shot, this gets stood up. So all in all, he's looking at minimum a 10-hour investment of time, dating, etc. To go ahead and pull this gal. If you got a great game, maybe you could pull her in 2 hours. Even 2 hours. You're looking at between $2,000 to $10,000 for this guy. Lost income, lost time, and maybe, for a lot of the guys that tune in, they just can't intellectually tolerate it. It's torture for them to go to a goddamn nightclub, to go to a loud bar, and listen to low IQ schlebs. Listening to these ditzy gals who are, I'm majoring in journalism, I have student loans, but YOLO! I mean, my hormones were big enough to counter that for a while. Not anymore. And so I could see this guy like, how much do you cost an hour? $500? Bam! There it is. And he is making money, and it's more enjoyable. There's no bullshit. There's no drama. That's where, yes, I was trying to connect it back to my original point. Put a super chat at the pussy getting sliced. That's a lot of people putting a lot of effort without that kind of money or income. But with these guys, if you make enough money, that was the point I was going to make. The opportunity costs for a lot of these guys, I said high quality guys. These are not virgin towels living in their mom's basement playing video games for a living. These are professionals that have an opportunity cost. And as you get a little bit older, once you break past 30, you're like, fuck, I gotta do what? And now there's a cost. So you either seeking arrangement now. I'm shocked how many of my friends, again, pros, actually use that side. It is shocking how many men use that. But every guy that I think about it now is a pro. He is a professional. And they're a little bit older. We're like, I am not dealing with this bullshit ever again because I don't have the time and I don't have the capacity for the pain that comes with it. And so I could see where guys are, they'll ask out a girl here, they'll ask out a girl there, they'll ask out a girl again. They get shut down and they're pissed. And they're maybe not putting in those 10 to 12 sales calls that's going to result in that one sale. I understand that. I'm just trying to explain. But there is a difference as whoever the comments were here, you were accused of only looking at the pussy getting slice of the pie. That's true. You know, and that changes. You know, I mean, we were all pussy getters when we were like 18, 19. We'd all go fling ourselves upon the shore of the beaches. You talk to a 47-year-old, 50-year-old, except for your one buddy who he could be having the time of his life. He could have found a gold mine. Most of the guys I know are like, no, nope. N to the O to the P to the E. Nope. They'd rather go to the library. And then when they kind of, oh, here's a cute girl, they ask it out. So they ask out the 3 or 4 a week, they get shot down, they get frustrated. Right? And then I got to evaluate, well, given your time and you put all this time and effort into it, now, a couple people I know ask more than 3 to 4 girls out a week. But it gets tiring and taxing. And there is now an opportunity cost. And your life, your standards of living, your enjoyment of life goes down because you're getting rejected after a while. It's like, yeah. Sometimes it's not worth it. You know what? Before I forget the opposite, let me take this other note. Just bear with me. Substitute good. That's what it really is. I should have pointed that out in the original video. I'm selling red pill 18 months now. He turned me into red pill indirectly a while back by shooting me the 80-20 video from Rich Cooper at the 21 con. Today says, nah man, it's all game. It's not your height, weight, money. Your height does help. You can't be, and weight, no, that's a lie. That's wrong. You're going to have a real disadvantage if you're 4'6". You're going to have a real disadvantage if you're 300 pounds and 5'9". Money, that can be faked, or you actually have it. It's not going to hurt you. I'll agree with him on the money. Money's not that much. Or genetic looks. Those to him are all excuses used by pussies who didn't game hard enough. They didn't game hard enough. They didn't put in the effort. He's 6'4". Okay, well, it's like those rich guys. Stop being poor. Dude, you give me 6'4". You give me 6'4". Let's see how much damage I can do then. He says, here in Lake Minnetonka, I run game, period. I don't worry about this red pill, blue pill bullshit. Yeah, you shouldn't worry about that when you're running game. You just go out, run game, and get laid. Yeah, go out and have fun. He's not wrong. I thought he might be living in an early 2000 pickup wonderland. No. I should just out of pure curiosity go and next time we get the Elkinsmeister or the guys out here, we'll go harass some women at some bars. We'll see how well we do. Friends' comments have also fed this thinking of mine. I don't know what's right. Well, I don't think what your friends are telling you versus what I've said here in the other video are necessarily mutually exclusive. Please name your price. I just want a video response. I mean, look, to get girls, you got to put in a lot of effort. The debate currently now is, this is where I'm going to get to the substitute good, is it worth your time? Is it worth the effort anymore? And, I also might add, what are your expectations? Like, if your goal is just to get laid and go have a good time, okay, yeah, all these guys are right. If you want a little bit something more, like, okay, technically my buddy who had these complaints, he did go on a couple dates. So there was some success. Then when you find out, like, inevitably you get older, you're like, fuck this shit, you want to settle down with some gal maybe. That's a different market unto itself. The guy with the super rich fancy car is in a market for sex. He is not in the market for marriage. Two completely different markets. But inevitably, you're going to date, you're going to want to have sex, and it leads to marriage or commitment or long-term girlfriend. And when the girl get a little bit of modicum of success, and then the girl goes, oh, you don't do, they're like, fuck. Because that's even worse. Then you wasted more. It takes 2 seconds to ask a girl out. You go on a date with a girl 3 times, and she's like, I just, kind of got to get back with my other. Like, oh, shit, you fucking wasted 10 hours. But your friends are right. To get girls, period, you need to have a lot of game. The point that I'm making with my video, which now enters the other market, which is more long-term, is one of commitment, dating, long-term, marriage even, if you're so foolish to engage in that. And that's where I would say 2/3 of my video was talking about what I wonder, I suspect. I don't know, I'm not claiming it's happening. But I look at the empirical data, I look at what's going on, I look at the survey data about what women have as priorities in life, and I also look at their actions. I started coming up with the theory of, do women even want men in the long run? Do women want to go out and have a good time, get laid by a guy they're sexually attracted to, get drunk and party? Yes, they do. I know a couple women who threw away their marriages for that. Another buddy told me several stories. It's like, once they get fake tits, all of a sudden they divorce their husband, then they come crawling back, I don't know. Then they just go out and drink, I don't get it. That's the altar they worship. Eat, pray, love, laugh, whatever the altars they bow down to. Anyway. Removing or advancing beyond game and now going into the world of, quote, getting a girl in a dating capacity, in a relationship capacity, you have to look at what kind of demand there is for that, what kind of demand there is for men. And when I look at the behavior of women and the data, and there was even that the study that was done by the guy, even I said, hey, huge asterisk, guys, huge asterisk. Could be BS, where he surveyed a bunch of women and they said they were happier without, women that were happiest were women without children, without husbands. Could be BS. What if it's not? Because that study does jive with what I'm seeing in the real world, what I'm getting from my lieutenants in my field, the agents in the field, and all the other troops I got on the field. And I look and I'm like, that does explain it. What you have to conclude is that women may not want men in the long run, in the medium run. Perhaps I should have clarified that, which I thought was apparent, because we start talking about long-term goals. And I brought up how women put their career and their education first, how they sacrifice their youth, which is the only thing that really is going to get guys, and is the healthiest time to have children if you want to have children. And they're going so far as to freeze their damn eggs so that they can go into college debt, get a worthless degree, most of them. Some do get legitimately good degrees, and God bless you girls. And then go and work. And I'm like, work? Who wants to work in a commute and pay taxes? But they do. They do. We gotta look at what is the behavior. And we're talking younger women. Again, this may not apply to your man who's 50. He's from a different generation. He's baby boomer, okay? Well, that's different. A lot of my clients, most of my clients are, I'd say under 30, yeah. Definitely under 35. That's a different generation. Completely different generation. And they're interested in the teenagers and 20-somethings and the younger 30-something gals. And not to say your buddy who's 50 isn't. Don't think they're gonna get married. And these guys who are looking for a little bit more than just a date or a screw, go on a couple days, things look like it falls apart, don't get frustrated, problems this, problems that. I'm wondering if a lot of that is girls just don't want to get married and have kids. I don't have conclusive proof or evidence of it. I have sprouts coming up here and there. I got the beginnings of a theory. I have some data points that you look at the behavior of girls today. It really looks like girls do not want marriage or kids. And we can talk all day about them saying they do. We could talk all day about it. But as an economist, more importantly, as an empiricist, when I look at gals and younger gals and their behavior, there is no consideration for men, no consideration for marriage, No consideration for children, because if there was, their behavior would be completely different. They'd be going to school, but if they found the right guy, they'd be dropping. They'd consider what men want. They'd maintain their beauty. No one's doing that. Everyone's getting fat and obese. There's another thing. I mean, how many bumper stickers can I put on a Ferrari? How many piercings can I get? I mean, how physically revolting can I make myself, all in the fake name of individuality while it's ultimately conformist? I mean, obviously that contingent of women have no interest because their behavior is not conducive towards finding a man. Look at what they're doing. Walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, acts like it's probably a duck. And so if you look at the behaviors of women, some interesting polling information has come out citing that study. Again, not conclusive proof. I then have to look at my clientele. I have to look at my boys. I have to look at the girls. Some girls like, got a couple. It's not guys just asking how to get the girls. I get some ladies. I got another client like, how do I find guys? I want to be a traditional woman. I'm like, well, here's what you got to do. And by the way, your selection is going to suck because they're all soy boy millennials. So look for this, look for that, look out for this, look out for that. So when I have an obligation to my clients, listeners, readership, just younger guys in general, this is why it's the Older Brother podcast. I'm like, okay, guys, you're faced with a real tough choice here because you're going to die. You're going to die. It's tickety-tock, man. And you got to make a decision right now. Is it worth a lot of time and investment? The majority of your time and investment. That's what the majority of a man's life on this planet was spent doing. Chasing, getting girls, and then raising the consequential kids. That is a huge investment. I think even Stephen Molyneux talked about how a guy can live off of like 20% with a family, like a wife, kid, and a man. He consumes so little because the investment in the pursuit and the hunt is so large that if you're going to try to pursue that, you got to really figure out whether you're going to get a positive return on investment. And, okay, you can chase girls, and you know what? You probably want to in your youth. Go chase girls if you're going to do it, but if you're going to do it, you get used to rejection, you put in all your effort like your two buddies are recommending. Not disagreeing with them there. You got to get in there, get proud, don't run your best game, work on your delivery. But if you're looking at something a little bit more long-term, it's a partnership. You have to ask, what does a girl want? What do women in general want? And it's dark as fuck when you look at what the behavior is, what the preliminary indications are. It's like, they don't want husbands. They don't want kids. They don't, or certainly not with you. And when I see guys who would make great dads, great husbands, great fathers, and they're not ugly, they're not short, they make more money than the old Catmeister does, although that doesn't take a lot. And they're still getting shot down. Even though girls say, like, well, I want to get married and have kids, but I got to finish my master's degree, I got to pay off my debt, YOLO, oh my goodness, box wine, hello. Sex of the city life. You got to figure out whether that pursuit's worth it. That's where you got to. And as an economist, I got to say, increasingly, no. No, because that's the data I see. Now, if I see additional data and additional research, oh my gosh, yes, women do want to get married. It's just X, Y, and Z. Women do want to have to find a husband, and they just got to do A, B, and C. I'll change my opinion in my mind. But right now, again, going back to that survey, the percent of women that found men attractive was only 20%, right? What was the other dating? There were two of them. I wish it boiled down to the same conclusion. 80% of the women want 20% of the guys. They're only going to settle for 20% of the guys. So by math, there's a percentage of you guys just ain't going to get married. You just ain't. And I even qualified it in the video saying, you might get married, but it'll be a failure of a marriage, either because it will end in divorce or it will be miserable because she's still pining for a 9 or a 10. Or maybe she's a 2, she's pining for an 8. Boy, everybody harped on there. Only 9s and 10? What about an 8? I'm like, oh, fuck, really? General talk here, people. I think Adam Piggott even said this, but you don't want to be a moderately attractive man. Because if you're an ugly man, you know you ain't got no shot, you don't even bother. Then you can have a kind of a monk-like lifestyle. If you're a 9 or a 10, yeah, you're going to get girls. They're going to make it easy for you. But if you're a 7.5, 6.5, 8, oh, then there's hope. You get a little bit of a taste, but then it happened more than once. I'll give you one old Capmeister. Let me tell you a story. Bill Cosby style. I would like to tell you a story now. All right. Many, many years ago, when the captain was but a wee lieutenant, second lieutenant, fresh out of the academy, I met this gal. Why? I was an officer. I was never in the military. I just used rank as a form to joke about when I was a wee lieutenant, fresh out of high school. I was no rookie at this time. I knew enough. And there was this gal, and we had chemistry. I love when you boys talk about chemistry. I find it so cute because it never works. We had chemistry. I was so good, so controlled. I'm like, cool, we got chemistry. Not getting excited. And then we went out on a date. I remember we were salsa dancing, and she was yap, 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 yap. And I just grabbed her on the floor and kissed her. And then she liked that. And then we just went and made out in the booth for a while. And we dated regularly, not hot or heavy or lightly, but regularly for about 3 weeks. And she was good looking. It was a chore. I don't want to say a chore. It took some effort to keep my excitement down, to control, to keep that in check. Because I knew, I just like, when this reaches 2 years, then maybe I'll get excited, but it's too early. Then, I don't know, 3 weeks or whatever, ghost, can't find her. Gone. and I even remember somebody, oh, dude, you're so negative, don't worry, the other shoe's not going to drop. And oh, hey, Bob, guess what happened? The fuck under the shoe dropped. What? Where'd she go? I don't know. Well, then you call her? No, I called her. She never called me back. Never heard anything. So I'd figured she had ran off with some other guy. And didn't care, because I, again, controlled myself. Sure, men control themselves. They don't fall in love. They don't fall into love. Marriage. That's another Gen X joke that none of you millennials or younger are going to get. And you're missing out because it's one of the greatest movie ever. Marriage. Where's it going? So it, gone. Just gone. And, okay, that's the way that one went. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I'm at one of my haunts. I get a tap on my back. It's her. I mean, we're talking like 4 weeks later. Like, you could see how weird that is. Going good. We were having sex. Everything was wonderful. And then I was like, no, just gone. I'm like, okay. Probably one of the most brilliant examples of stoicism and self-control and self-mastery in the history of humankind. Because you guys, what's going on? I do something. I'm like, nah, okay, that's the way that one went. And I was kind of like, hey, what's up? She's like, you have to meet my parents. I'm like, doubly like, wow, we were here, and now I have to meet your parents. I'm like, oh, really? Yeah, come on downstairs, they're there. I'm like, oh, they're here now. I'm like, set my drink down. I'm like, this is the most entertaining fun I've had in years. Let's go meet the parents. So I go down, and she's introducing me as if, like, I'm going to be the future. No, she would be the future Mrs. Clary. Kind of like, this is the guy I was telling you about. And I'm like, oh, Aaron, we heard so much about you. I'm like, really? The past 4 weeks, have you? And I'm just like, watching this phenomenon transpire before my life. Sorry, I got a side ache from laughing so much. I gotta sit a little bit lower so I fit in the camera. I gotta get a new chair. So I'm like, well, nice to meet you. Yeah, well, you should come over for dinner. I should. Yeah. And I was like, I know there's something wrong. No. And so I think another week went by. And a friend of hers, we had a friend in common, says, hey, are you still interested in so-and-so? I'm like, not really, no. Oh, because, she's really interested in you, da-da-da-da. And then I played a pretty precise. I say, well, yeah, if she didn't go out with that other guy, I'd be like, cool, but she totally went off with that other guy, which I had no confirmation of. And then her friend says, okay, well, it's her ex-boyfriend. He's a total dick. And, she thought she still had feelings for him. I interrupted her. I'm like, dude. I was totally joking. I didn't even know that she went back. I was just finding out. Oh, God, you can't tell her I told you. I slipped up. She's going to get so pissed off. I'm like, don't worry. Like, I had much interest. Now it's gone. It was gone quite some time ago. Don't worry. That is the problem you boys have to worry about. That is the cost. That is the consequence. Where you waste that much time hoping something is going to happen when it ain't. If it was just wham bam thank you man, which checking my own control, practicing self-mastery, not getting excited, don't let emotion. Cool. What effectively ended up happening is I just had sex with this gal for like 2 to 3 weeks. And it was fun. It was great. Good old time. But I didn't fall in love or get excited. I did not get my hopes up. Why? Because the empirical evidence beforehand said you probably shouldn't. And that's why I'm trying to get my clientele. That's what I'm trying to get and that's the point I'm trying to make. Date, go, fuck, screw, fornicate, go do whatever. Have a grand old time. All right? But based on that, based on everything, people think my 44 years, no, you're wrong. No, let me see, 44 years, a lot of data, a lot of research. I'm going to bet I'm right and you're wrong. I look at it, everybody coming up to me saying they've dated, they got let on, they got this, that. I'm like, yeah, guys, you know what? Kind of looks like the girls really don't want to get married and have kids. It really doesn't look like that. Right? And so, temper your expectations. Control your expectations. Do not get excited. And frankly, certainly, do not waste your time chasing the girls. I mean, sure, go ask a girl out. Go, if you see a cute girl, you ask her out. I don't even think you should be on the internet, active, nightclub. No, daytime, day game. Read it. Day game by Roosh if you can still get it. You see a cute girl, ask her out, like the olden days. That's about, but lower your expectations so that they're in line with reality. Lower your expectations so you're not wasting your time trying to chase something that statistically is not likely going to happen. And the second I start seeing a pro-marriage attitude, a pro-commitment attitude, a pro-family attitude, a pro-husband attitude, like you're the first thing that comes in my life, not, well, I want a husband because I want a husband because I want a husband like I want an SUV or a pedicure. Right? When I see women like, I love my husband more than myself, and the husband says, I love my wife more than myself. I've said in that video, altruism is more important than love, if not the most vital and loving form of love. Until I see that, until I see women putting as much time and effort into being a good wife and a good mother as they do a good sociology master student or social worker or environmental studies professor, when I see them putting that much effort into finding a good husband and a good father, then I will tell you boys, yeah, now things have changed. Now they are at least receptive to that agreement. But in the meantime, there are not as many women that want to engage in that partnership of, commitment, dating, marriage, some kind of committed relationship. There's not that many. And maybe there's more men out there that do. That's another thing I'd have to go and estimate and calculate some numbers on. What percentage of men want to get married versus what percentage of women. Also, who's capable of it. But neither here nor there. As it stands right now, guys, since all you got in life is the tickety-tock, keep a line out. Ask a girl out. Cute, how you doing? I cannot deny the empirical data I've seen. Most women do not want to get married or have kids. That's what they say they do. Most will get married. Most will have kids, right? But stay married to you? Get married to you in the first place? Oh, that's precious, man. That's precious. So yeah, I hope it answered your question. I hope I made my case. I hope I pointed out and provided some caveats as to why those guys are still right. Why I don't necessarily disagree with them, and answer your question when you were a little bit confused, like which way is right. Well, they're both kind of right depending on the market. But you going out on a night, getting shot down, okay, you lost 3 hours of your life and a couple, $20-$30 on booze. You trying to get married and dating the wrong girl, oh my God. I've seen so many men get destroyed. So many men. If you don't believe me, watch my video with Terrence Popp and Rich Cooper, who are men divorced veterans. Because I want to it's cute. Oh, fuck this guy. I listened to 23 seconds. Fuck that guy. I'm like, have fun, guys. Have fun. Go get them, Tigers. So there. All right. Glad we had this chat. If you need help, go to assholeconsulting.com where I'll give you a little bit more data information. And then if you want something a little bit more clinical for the boys, girls would benefit from reading this too. Get this book, Bachelor Pad Economic. There's an entire, I think there's 2 chapters, one on dating, one on marriage. Because you guys like the girls. And then while we're here, remember, June is Worthless Degree Awareness Month. Make sure you do not major in stupid shit. Get this book for a recent high school graduate so they don't get $200,000 in debt earning your social work degree, but I can't find a job. Why can't I find a man? All right, we'll see you guys later. Toodles.